by, sir. I think we might be live. Let me just double check. Yes, we are live. Good morning and / good afternoon, everyone. Tim Watson here with Meet the Masters. I'm joined today by Master Martin Silk. Hello, sir.
Hello, Zebedee. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. How's it going?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We've got a nice day here today, so nice days always put you in a good frame of mind.
Like you were saying, you weren't sure how to handle yourself with the sunshine, right?
No, we're not used to it in Britain. We're not built for it, so a little bit of confusion in the air.
Well, and you and I have the same complexion. We have bronze skin.
Yeah.
So what's new with your dojang, Northern Tang Soo Do? Tell us about what's going on.
Well, we've actually quite an exciting week. We've obviously been battling with the COVID restrictions, but the hall we were in previously, we hadn't had a lot of communication with them. We didn't know what's going on. But this week we've actually gone to a new venue. So in about a month's time, we'll be able to get back into the hall, assuming the British roadmap out of the restrictions stays on course. But we've got a new hall. We're going into a new area. It's quite exciting times. Break some new ground again with a new market as well, and not only rebuild but hopefully grow once we're in there as well, and keep pushing on. So it's exciting times. It's all happened in the space of a few days as well. So it's been a bit of a rush, but it's good. Yeah, and I don't mind it when we're rushing and good things are happening. So
yeah, exactly. It's I think especially with you, you've run a club for so long that you've certainly experienced many ups and downs, and you just kind of take it as it goes, as it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to. You've got to.
Yeah, we just here in Region 8, we just did our dawn testing yesterday, and it's the same thing. Everyone's wearing masks. We're kind of split up in different locations to keep the numbers down, but the perseverance, indomitable spirit, that's what we do.
Oh, definitely. It's been a test of those things for the previous year. But I think we've come out of it. It's been new opportunities as well. And we've seen that with the, not just in Britain, but across the world and stuff like that. We're using Zoom, all the technology. If this had happened 10, 15 years ago when things like this weren't set up, it would have been a lot more difficult, I think. Just keeping in touch with the students would have been a lot more difficult. But,
Sure.
We've had new challenges, but we've risen to it, and we can keep pushing on. So
who's the technology person in the Silk family? Are you the technology guy?
No, this actually is a big problem, because I think in the Silk family, we don't do technology. It's been forced upon us. I like pens and paper because they don't crash on you halfway through. So yeah, we've kind of taught ourselves as we've gone through. Really, we're not technologically savvy, to say the least.
That's okay. It's adapt, improvise, overcome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Or you get left behind.
Definitely do in this day and age. Definitely.
So we have a couple of people saying hi, checking in. Lindsay says, "Good afternoon, Master Watson." Lindsay Dudgeon. Janet Silk says, "Looking good, son."
Of course, mother will be there.
That's right, Matt. She's got to. Mrs. Silk, I told him, if you have any stories you want me to ask him about, please feel free to share in the comment section. Master Wiskin says, "Good afternoon, sir." Willie Richardson from Region 8 says hello. Ian Crook. Brian Normanson from Region 21 is checking in. If anyone has any particular questions they would like to share, please feel free to share in the chat, or just say hi, and we'll make sure to check in as we go. So as far as the martial arts, it's interesting, and we talked about this a little bit when we chatted a couple weeks ago. With the masters in World Tang Soo Do, there's obviously generations, and some of the generations that are a little older started maybe when they were early 20s, late teens, and then there's this generation, which I would say that you're in that generation of people that started pretty young and have more or less grown up in martial arts.
Yeah.
Which you're in your mid 30s and have been doing martial arts for just about 30 years, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I started Tang Soo Do when I was 6. So I and just continue through. It's done it for so long. It's literally it's part of who I am, and it's been very formative, to be honest. Doing something like this, and I think it's good for people as well. Anyone to get into any form of martial arts, because it does help you. It gives you structure, which can be very difficult to get in your life these days. You can push certainly traditional styles such as ours. You push the self-discipline, and also respect is a huge thing. And I work in a school, so I'm looking at the younger generations as well coming through, and I'm thinking the respect it's eroding, but not just respect for other people, but for yourself as well. So I think if you have something like a traditional martial art, if you have something like the World Tang Soo Do Association that can help you give structure and help reinforce, you are worthy of respect. Everybody is. Once you respect yourself, you can respect other people, and that's the, like I say, so starting so young, it's been very formative, and very important to me. And like I said, my brothers have all done it. We've got my dad involved, and my mum later on. It's so huge in my family, and it's like I say, it's so important, and I think it's beneficial for everyone. And the younger you can get into it, the more benefits you get, not just from health or anything like that, but from your personality, for your character. It is character building. So
Absolutely. My oldest daughter, yesterday I mentioned dawn testing, and my oldest daughter just tested for second degree black belt, and pushing through wearing a mask and having to do all the curriculum for that is definitely not something that most young kids put themselves through.
Exactly. And that's the thing. When you do something like this, where we don't, certainly with our association, if you want something, you're going to work for it, you're going to sweat for it. So you can't turn up and 3 minutes later, congratulations, there's your next belt. So you're learning skills that are not just for in the dojo. When times get tough, you're going to have to knuckle down, and you've got to push on and drive through. And these are all things that you can learn and get reinforced in Tang Soo Do, because it is hard work, but it's rewarding at the end, and you appreciate it more. I think when you sweat for it, and when you feel you've earned something, it means so much more to you.
Absolutely. So you mentioned that you were 6 years old when you started the martial arts. How did you find your way to Tang Soo Do and the martial arts?
I was getting bullied at school, but I wouldn't stand up for myself. And in the local area, there was things like there was boxing, or there was a Tang Soo Do class at the leisure centre. And basically my parents just wanted me to get a bit of confidence, to stand up for myself, and we had a bit of a choice. And I didn't like the idea of getting punched in the face at a boxing club. So that's right. Well, let's try this then. So we went in, walked in the Tang Soo Do class, and stayed. Basically, that's what I was looking for. I was getting bullied, and I wouldn't stand up for myself. Right, my dad said, no, you need to learn. You need to stand up for yourself, because no one should push anybody around. No one does that. And because I went, obviously, my brother came as well, because there's only a year between us, year and a half. So it's like, well, if he's doing it, I want to do it too. So we started together and moved forward together. So if I hadn't been bullied, I probably might not have made the journey I had. So rough start, but good outcome.
Yeah, I always find it interesting. No one's story is the same as far as getting started. Some people's like, oh, I saw a sign, or a sibling started, or like you said, you got bullied, or whatever the case is. I always find it fascinating how you got to start. So being that young when you started, what are your first memories as in karate, in Tang Soo Do?
Well, there's two things that stick out in my mind. And they are my first instructor that I remember clearly. I've been through a few instructors for various reasons, but the first one I remember clearly, I remember most vividly, was a gentleman. He was a big, strong Scottish guy, and people like, you talked in class, and people would normally say, "Oh, don't talk over the instructor. You do push-ups." No, he used to put you for horse. He was a tough man, so it was tough love. Horse riding stance with a bong of the staff across your legs, and if the bong rolled off, you had to start your 1 minute again. Now that's tough, and he did it to everybody. The kids so he was hard on the punishment, but he was not one that I would look up to. I didn't get a top quality instructor for a number of years. He was quite insecure, and I remember he was not good, to be honest. It was tough, but again, I enjoyed the martial arts side of things, so I could get past that. And also, a lot of his issues were aimed at adults, so you see them as kids, but you don't, because it doesn't come to you. You kind of don't realize until you're older and you look back and you think, that's not good. That's not good. So yeah, he moved on for family reasons. Then again, I had to come through. I got a first rate. I got the best instructor I could ever have wished for when I was a blue belt. I got to blue belt before I had a top level instructor, and that was Master Khan. Even though he was 180 odd mile away, a blue belt, he was my first top level instructor, and he not only helped me fix things that were doing wrong in the past, but look at, no, actually, this is what Tang Soo Do is supposed to be. I'd learned the moves, but I learned Tang Soo Do from Master Khan, and then the other senior masters as that we had around him at the time, and then as the pool grew and I got to know the other black belts, that was when for me, learning what Tang Soo Do actually is started. So again, yeah, it sounds like a series of rough beginnings at different points, but equally, if I hadn't had those experiences at the start, I think it probably would have been, my journey would be different. So that, yeah, I enjoyed the martial arts, but I look back and I think actually the things I can remember clearly are not great until Master Khan really takes me and my family under his wing, and it, made a big, big difference.
So, as a martial arts instructor, did those early years help shape kind of the way that you taught kids? Like, you had both sides. You had the side where it's like, well, as a martial arts instructor, I won't do this, but then you had Master Khan, and you're just like, this is the right way.
This is how you do. Absolutely, and not just how you teach kids, but how you teach everybody. It's that there's things I look back on and I look and I think, you know what? If I've made a mistake in class tonight, I handled that situation badly, but I would then go and I'd speak to that person and say, look, I didn't handle it right. I apologize. This is how we're going to move on from the situation. You take that step. You don't just sit on the high and mighty and stay up there and whatever else. But there's also things that I know from what I've seen other people do. There's no way I would walk down that path, because I look and I think, you know what? Yeah, it didn't happen per se to me. I saw it happen to other people, but I remember that. So how I work with the children, how I work with the adults, they are going to remember that. And there was a piece I read for the motivational statements. It's one of these that's anonymous, but it stays with people. People don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. And that's something I try and keep in mind when I'm teaching. People will forget what I say, but if I make them feel good and they have a good time and they enjoy the session, they will come back and then they will continue to learn and they can practice well. And that's what I try and bring to the front when I'm leading the session. And obviously, you take the wisdom from Master Khan and when any of the senior masters when it's offered. So
I think those are wise words, right? And I tell people, even when they leave, like say someone moves, it's a lot of times, obviously I love Tang Soo Do and I support it, but it has a lot more to do with the instructor than the art, right?
Yeah,
And I tell
I
people,
think so. Yeah,
go and take a class and see if it's the right fit, see if the instructor connects with you
mm,
over the art. Like
yeah,
obviously, like I said, we're both lifers in World Tang Soo Do and Tang Soo Do in general, but
yeah,
you got to connect with the instructor. So I appreciate those
yeah.
words. So I'm seeing a lot. I'm seeing Silk last names. Rebecca Silk says Tang Soo forever, family
Yeah,
always.
yeah. That's my sister-in-law.
Excellent.
She's married to my youngest brother, who's a Samdan. She made Samdan as well. So high flying.
Awesome. So as far as like longevity in the martial arts, obviously there are always ups and downs. What
Mm.
what kept you in? Was it Master Khan? Was it the
I
people
think I
throughout?
think for me, there's three things that keep me coming back. And first is like you just said there, it's the quality of the people. Like I say, we've highlighted Master Khan a couple of times, but if you look at the other masters that are in GB, I know we've had Master Dawns there, Master Wiskin, Master Allen, um, Master Butcher. They're they're good people,
Mhm.
and they're free with their time, they're free with their advice. If you need help, you can go to them. And I think when you have that, you know, you want to be part of it, so you will keep coming back to it because it's a good place to be. Um, I think also as well the fact that I still learn every single every single time. There's something different. Um, a week ago we did the international masters class on Zoom. Master Khan was doing um, some applications from Sipsu, and I looked. I thought he's spoken at length about Sipsu many times, but I've never seen that application before. That's great. I've been working with the man for years, but it's something new, just comes out of the blue. And so there's always something to learn. It never stops. And I think as long as you keep that in mind, you will keep coming back because it's the journey. It keeps on rolling out. And the third thing that keeps me coming back, and I got told off. I'm going to say something now, and I get days. I got told off for using the phrase I'm going to use at one of my master's tests, but not properly told. It was told off in a good way. I said I'm old fashioned. When I take an oath, it's serious. It means something. And for me, an oath is even more binding than a promise or anything like that. A promise gives you a little bit of leeway. But if I say to you, you have my oath, you have my vow, it's unbreakable. You don't break that. It's very much an honor thing for me. And I've sworn my loyalty to the association. I've sworn my loyalty to Master Khan, and it's going to take. Well, it's not going to happen. I'm here. I've made that vow. I've made that oath. It is signed and sealed. Um, and like I said that at my master's test. The Master Khan said, no, no, don't say that. You're not old fashioned. You just have standards. Yes, I do. But a lot of people, and we see ourselves, you take the black belt oath, and in the line, that black belt oath is there, and like, for the rest of my life. And you swear it in front of all these people. And we'll all have seen it. Some people will get the black belt, and before the ink on the certificate's dry, they've gone. They don't, so don't even complete the session that follows.
Right.
I said, but you've just taken that off. How can you walk out on that when, as well, nothing has happened? You've got no beef. So those are the three things. The quality of the people in this association is unbelievable. I've got friends all over, and they are fantastic people. This association seems to bring good people to the fore. The knowledge, it never stops. There's always something new to learn. There's always something new to do. And finally, I gave my word. I gave my word to Quanchin and Bodwin twice. He did both my master promotions, fourth and fifth Dan. And I did it in front of my family. I did it in front of Master Khan. I did it in front of my Tang Soo Do family. My word is my word, and it is binding. So I am here, and I'm stuck. The association is stuck with me.
When you were talking about that yesterday at Dawn testing, Master DeMarco, who's one of the senior masters here in Region 8, talked about the black belt, and he said, you don't wear your black belt around your waist, you wear it around your heart. You wear it in your heart. And, you know, that when you were talking about that, that's what I think of. Like, you see the people that get their black belt, it's you know, it's achievement, and then they move on. But then you see those people that stick around and really, you know, work on their craft, and that's those are the people that, like I said, wear it around their heart.
And I think it's people need to realize you'll only get the most out of martial arts in general if you realize that it's not trophy. The black belt isn't a trophy to be worn and hung up on the wall and brag to people. It's a door. What's the point of opening the door if you're not going to walk through it and see what's on the other side? And each time you do a testing, you've opened a door, but you've got to then take the next step and move through and develop and learn and expand. You've got to do that each time. Otherwise, okay, there's no point opening the door. Right. So you just got to keep moving. That's the thing.
Got a couple more people saying hello. Jeff Anna says afternoon. Tom Lyons here from Region 8 says good morning. Emily Ware says afternoon, Master Silk and Master Watson. Northern is glad for the instructor we have.
That's very kind. Emily's one of my Samdans.
Excellent.
She's Rebecca's sister. So it really is. And Jeff Annis is pretty much one of my original students. I think he joined my club. It was only a couple of months after I opened 18 years ago. So he's one of my Samdans. He teaches a club just down the road from me. So he's been with me on this journey for a long time as well. So
I think that's a good segue. Let's talk about how you got started as a club and taking over the reins of being an instructor at a pretty young age.
Yeah. I was 18. I was 16 when the club I was training at folded and just upped and closed. And what happened? I'd been training up at a place called Newcastle, which was about 45 miles from where I was living now. And the instructor just left, just upped and left. So we were again talking to Master Kyle, what do we do? Because I'm on my own. The nearest club is like over an hour away driving. What do I do? So we trained for 2 years, just me and my family. Then when I was 18, we opened up Northern Tang Soo Do, and we actually opened up in 2 venues. One took off, one dragged along for a little bit, but eventually there just wasn't enough students there. So we consolidated and just stayed in one area. And that was interesting because when you're 18, you think you know it all. You've got that. I think all teenagers have this. When you're 18, you've been there, you've done that, you can take on the world, and to be honest, you're stupid enough to believe it. It doesn't take long for the world to change your opinions on that. But we got lucky. There was no other martial arts near where we were at the time, so we got in. People were looking for us. And we had all sorts of people come in. Some stayed, tried. Some people, it wasn't the fit for them and moved on. But we've just continued to go from there. It is strange moving from being the student to the instructor, and it's very different when you're teaching your family or just to your family, and then suddenly you're teaching other people, because the expectations, I think, are slightly different. Someone comes in from the outside. They expect you to know A, B, C, D. You've got it all. But your family, they know you've got gaps because they've been with you for long enough, or they've been alongside you. So there's a little bit more leeway with your family, I think, than was, or certainly feels that way. But I was lucky as well, because when I opened it up, I had my brother Andrew. We opened it as a joint venture, 2 brothers together, and so his strengths kind of were complementary to mine, and so we could cover each other's backs. And this isn't my particular forte, but this guy on the other hand, and we could bounce off each other. So it was kind of a bit of a double act in the beginning. So yeah, which helped as well, I think, because both of us knew, when you're standing next to your brother, he's got your back. It doesn't matter. You might have beef at home, but that's fine. When you're against everybody else, he's got your back. I've got his back. It's all good. So it was challenging, but you learn very quickly, I think, especially if you start young, you learn very quickly that you need to stop realizing or stop thinking that you know everything. And there are a lot wiser people out there. Put your listening ears on, and you just take all the advice you can get in the end. And your style does change as you mature as well. Your style changes.
Oh, absolutely. So who were those people that you leaned upon as far as getting advice? Obviously, I'm sure Master Khan is
yeah, but Master Khan has been my primary port of call from the very beginning. Master Carter as well. Master Carter, I never mentioned Master Carter yet. Master Carter he was asked basically to look after us as we were just starting off and growing. And he's been with us since. He still comes up and leads testings with us and seminars. So those two of us for a long time were my go-to people. But having said that, you expand the circle a little bit.
Sure.
Master Dawn is there for every instructor in GB. If you need to know something, Master Dawn's pretty much got a finger on the button. She knows what's going on. If she doesn't know, she can find out pretty quick. She's very good at that. Master Mike Allen, is great for support. And he's able to guide you and stuff like that. And again, if we don't know, he can find us answers and help us plan things forward. So it's a bit like I was saying earlier. Once you get to know the instructors at the top, I could turn to any of the senior masters. I've had advice from all of them at some point. I think I've spoken to Master Butcher about things. I've had help from Master Whiskin, because we've all had our struggles, and someone may have had the same or similar struggle. So and we share, and we all, the individuals make the whole stronger. So as we were building, it started off with Master Khan and Master Carter and Master Dawn. But once I got more familiar with the others, I've been very comfortable going to anybody for help, basically. Even if they're junior grades, because if they're instructors, they may have had something. Everyone's got something that can be used to help you, and they're willing to help you, because at some stage they're going to need your help as well. And we know that's that mutual respect, and it goes both ways. So
yeah, I definitely, there was a moment where I realized that the association, the region, was bigger than just my small circle of people. When did you realize that? Was that around the same time where you're like, wow, there are a lot of people out here?
I think it will have been not long after I opened my I keep saying not long after me and my brother opened the club, because at that stage we stopped being students and we were instructors. Right. And so I think you look at things a little bit different. It was at that point as well that Master Khan stopped using my first name. As soon as I opened the, and I think again it goes back to standards and stuff like that and separating things out. As soon as I opened, we opened the club, I became Mr. Silk. Martin didn't get mentioned, and he hasn't called me Martin since. I don't have a first name now, but it's that no, you're now in this position. We were starting getting introduced at tournaments and stuff like that, and I think as soon as you start doing that, other people see you, and you're looking out and think, oh, actually, everyone's looking at me now. But that person looks, now you start talking to them a bit more, because now you know they're instructors as well. And it just gradually grows until eventually you don't even realize it's happened, but you step back and you go, this is a network. This is a huge network. This is fantastic. Mm. And you feel confident and comfortable enough to talk to any of them about any issues you may be having. It's a great thing. It's a family group. Especially, like I say, in most of my experiences with the European masters and the senior instructors over here, and they will all pull together. You know, it makes no difference where you're from. You're wearing this badge.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Right.
You know, and you can rely on everybody for it, pretty much anything.
Yeah. So it looks like some more people are watching. Tracy Digby says, afternoon, Sabanim. Just finished training with Master Khan. I'm with Master Ennis listening in the car. And then
Fantastic.
Master Don said, just finished our outdoor class with Sabanim. We're watching. So proud of your determination and commitment and struggles on your journey. Tang Soo.
She's very kind. She's very kind, Master Don.
You know, it's you were talking about that and about expanding your circle. And I still remember when I became an instructor and someone would come up and say, hey, you know, hey, Tim. And I'd be like, I can't believe that you know my name.
Yeah, it is a strange thing when people start recognizing you. It really, especially I'm not one. I don't love the limelight. I'm quite happy teaching a class or leading a session or something like that. But if the limelight shined on me, I'm not overly comfortable in it. And then, but someone walks up to me and goes, "Hi, Master Silk. Haven't seen you for a long time." I don't remember. Who are you? There was someone had turned up. It was at a competition. It's been a couple of years ago now, obviously because of COVID, and I judged them on their first competition. But you know, it's like when you're on a panel, you watch, and you might see 100 students through on that day, and they said, "I was nervous. I was terrified. You helped calm me down." I was like, "Oh, fantastic! Did you enjoy it?" "Yes, I did." And I'm thinking, right, I must remember this person's face now because they've just said the nicest thing to me ever, and I didn't see them the rest of the day. So I'm hoping the next time it comes round, I'll still be able to. I'm terrible at remembering people's faces, but you know, people do recognise you, and it takes a lot of getting used to that. You are going to be getting recognised a lot, even if you can't recognise the people you're talking to. It's very, it's bizarre in a way, because there's nothing special about me. So why should people care? Do you know what I mean? It's a strange feeling.
Well, it's funny. You say there's nothing special, but you know, let's not be too modest. I mean, you've dedicated your life to the martial arts, and you know, it's one of those things where eventually, if you're there long enough, you become the instructor, you become the Sabanin, and you are someone to look up to. So you know, don't shortchange yourself. And I tend to do that to myself as well. I'm very self-deprecating. But you know, you didn't, you know, Master Khan wouldn't ask me to interview you if you know, he didn't think you were.
No.
You know that.
But this is something that Master Khan will tell you as well. If you ask Master Khan, he always says that there's nothing special about me, because all we do is we work hard.
Right.
And if you think about it in those terms, everybody has the capacity.
Sure.
And you know, that's the thing. When I said there's nothing particularly unique about me, it's just the decisions I've made.
Right.
And hopefully that my students will follow on. But I still, for myself, I look at myself and I think, yeah, okay, I've done well. Yes, but I'm still amazed that people still recognize me, because I'm just me. I look in the mirror and it's me. It is strange that people sometimes that connection. But then again, I look at Master Khan, and it's, you know, there's a massive pedestal. He's on the top of it. The lights are, you know, it's
right.
He's that celebrity for me, and he stands there and goes, "No, it's nothing special. I just worked hard. You know, I just dedicated myself and worked hard." So,
you know, it tends to happen when you hang around for 30 years. People start to realize.
Yeah, people, when you've been on for 30 years, people do sort of notice you a little bit more. Yeah.
You mentioned tournaments. Were you into competing at all? Did you compete much?
I didn't compete until I was a blue belt.
Okay.
I was never too interested in them. But once I was a blue belt, I always liked the social aspect of the competition more than the competition. It's that strange thing about martial arts. You know, you get together every so often, walk into a ring, punch each other in the face or the chest, to kick each other a couple of times, walk out, give each other a big hug, and have a drink at the end of the day, sit down and whatever else. You know, it's that strange friendship that if you're not a martial artist, people people don't seem to get, you know. I always liked that more than the competition, but at the same time, it was nice to put yourself out there and, you know, and just see it as a measure. I made some great friends in competition. Master Ben Harper, who is an exceptional competitor, and he was in my group, and I'll never forgive him for that. But that's not the point. We went through a phase. I think it was 6 competitions on the trot in sparring, where it was me against him in the first round every time. I was like, thanks, great. Can I not get a break or anything? I had to fight this guy every time. But you know, outside of that, we've become really good friends, and it's lasted the test. You know, it's people you do meet them, and I think once if you've competed against someone, you do end up with a mutual respect between you because you've put yourself out there, and it's a very difficult thing to do, to put yourself out there and say, right, judge me. It's a very difficult thing to do. And obviously, as you go through the grades, when you get towards like the Samdans, when we do the nationals or the Europeans, they're the last ones left. So everyone's watching that second Dan, third Dan group, and it's no longer just your friends are watching you and there's the panel. You know, everyone's flicking between 1 or 2 rings that are still active now. So there's, you know, it was a challenge again, because it's not the sort of thing that I enjoy doing as a normal activity, but it's good. It was good practice for me for putting yourself out there and saying, what do you think of me? Which again, life skill, because that's when, if you go for a job, you're sitting in front of someone saying, right, evaluate me. And they're going to say yes, or they're going to say no. And there won't be a 2nd place or 3rd place or anything like that. No one gives you a participation medal. But I think if you're used to being, or if you can get used to being assessed, not necessarily publicly, but if you putting yourself out there for other people to express an opinion, it's a useful life skill.
Absolutely. So, you mentioned Grandmaster Bodwin earlier. Do you have memories of Grandmaster Shin and meeting him for the first time, or any particular memories?
Grandmaster, the first time I met Grandmaster Shin, it was a European tournament. Inverness, we were in top end of Scotland, 1999. So we're going back a long way there. I think I'd just recently received my first Dan, and we'd stood in line we were going to get our picture taken with Quan Chin Nim. You know how long those lines get, because there's a celebrity for you. And we waited for a long time, and my dad had an old camera, and the flash gun was dreadful on it. It was purely because of age, it wouldn't charge properly. And we got to the front, take the picture, and as my dad takes the picture, someone walks across. I said, that one's ruined. We'll come back later. And Grandmaster Shin said, no, wait. You waited for a photo. It hasn't gone right. We'll take it again. We will wait for you stuff. And he wouldn't let us move on until we had the shot. And he said, if people standing in the line, they've given their time to get up here, they get my time until they are done. Awesome. That's one of my first memories of him. And even then later on, when you get training, if you had questions, if you waited, if you gave your time to wait, you got his time. It was and I think that they say the lasting impression there is someone who, if you've made the sacrifice, you get the reward at the end of the day. It was a great man, Quan Chin Nim Shin. Great man. He'd hold the room very well. Knew how to use his presence, but he was very good. Very good to work with.
So you talked about Quan Chin Nim Bodwin, and he promoted you for both of your master's ranks. You had the chance to promote to master's rank with 2 family members. So
yes,
talk about that. You know, that opportunity.
Well, the first one we got on my 4th Dan Master, I promoted alongside my brother Andrew. And I'm not sure how common it is to go from your first testing through to 4th Dan Master side by side with a sibling, or even, to be honest, even a friend. I'm not sure how common that is. We went through, we did the whole lot together always. And to be honest, that probably helps actually a little bit in the thing, because we're always stood side by side. And yeah, we want each other to do well,
Sure.
but we're brothers. So we want to do better than the other one. There's nothing quite like sibling rivalry. So it lifts you up and can really push your performance up a little bit. And I remember a couple of times during me 4th Dan test and the Masters test, going through and thinking, I'm absolutely wrecked. And a quick glance sideways, and I could see my brother Andrew, and he's standing at tall. I'm not so tired anymore. And I'm trying to stand taller than he is. But to get to that day and get the promotion, it was very, very emotional. But it was strange. I think sometimes I think strange is probably the best phrase, because there's so many emotions going through you at the same time. It's like you're proud of your brother, you're proud of yourself. It's Grandmaster. Then you look this way, Grandmaster's in front of you, so the pride goes up again. And then you're looking around and all these people who you've worked with and trained with and things like that, and it's the little bits that come along. And I remember I tried to hold it together. I'm not, I'm going to be not stone-faced, but I'm not going to let the emotion get the better of me. And I had my Andrews, they're going, yeah, keep it together, don't break, keep it together. And Grandmaster Boardman comes up and he says, as he's fastening my belt, he leans in, don't fight it. If you fight it, you'll forget it. Just let it go. And that was it. I was crying. I completely broke. And I just looked at I remember looking at Andrew and I just went, don't say anything. Grandmaster said I could cry. It's all right. So yeah, it was a strange day for that one. But we actually recreated a photo with Master Khan. I wish I had it to hand, but in 1999, when we got our first Dan, there's a photo of me either side, me and my brother either side of Master Khan, big smiles. So we got the Master's belt. We recreated that photo, made sure we were stood on the right sides. And I look at that photo now and I think, this is I'm the shortest one in the photo now. I've got the least hair in the photo now. This photo wasn't a good idea for me, but I used to have a full head of hair. But so that was, it was a strange day. That was, it's so many emotions going through. But it was a great experience. And I think it's one of those things, it's really difficult to top something like that.
Sure.
And when I received my 5th Dan, it was my dad, Colin, receiving his 4th Dan. And that one is strange, because I think most people, when you talk to, if it's parents training with the kids, the parent tends to be the one that's in charge. But obviously ours is reversed. There were stipulations on that, but yes, there's lines that there was no circumstances I could cross while we were in the dojo. I said, you might be in charge for 7 hours a week, but you're still living in my house, which means I get the rest of it. So some of his pieces of advice. But when he started, he was said, I'll get to brown belt. My target's brown belt. And he got to brown belt. He went, black belt's not too much further, so he gets to his black belt. And he never thought about going on and putting that master's belt on him. And I'm in the lines. Obviously, I'm watching this, and it's not my turn to go up yet. But again, you're looking, going, you know what? We were told at the start, when you started, you were old for starting martial arts. But he's cracked on. He pushed on. He got that. While we've been training, he's had issues with his heart. He has problems with his knees, his hips, all these sort of things, and he battles through them. I was really, really proud on that day. And for one of it, and he won't thank me for this, but I was really proud of the old man. And I have to call him the old man because in a couple of weeks he's going to be 60, so he's officially old. You've got to get that in. There'll be a comment coming up on the screen shortly, so I think. But no, I was really, really proud of him. And again, just to share that day, you'll get lots of emotions and you see how much it means. Especially when, like I said, when he started, he almost didn't believe he could do it. But then again, you get closer and you keep working and pushing on, and he's, so yeah, it was two very intense days.
Sure. It's funny you said he didn't think he could do it. I mean, who does? Who thinks that far? I mean, honestly, you have dreams about it, but
yeah,
when I started, there's no way I thought about that moment. And yeah, it's cool. Sometimes you're almost more excited for others when it comes to that moment. And I don't have any family like family like you do, but seeing the people that I came up with alongside me was awesome. I just got a dad said we'll have words.
Yeah, I thought it would. Yeah. But the when he was getting nominated, I know Master Khan's told me we do it a little bit different at the European clinics to happens in America, but I haven't been able to get to one of the American clinics yet. But at the European ones, there'll be a list. We'll walk around with Quanchinem. Someone will walk around with Quanchinem and say, right, this person, Quanchinem, taps you on the shoulder, would like to invite you to test tonight. And this is obviously lunch on Thursday. Before we do Friday. Quanchinem's walking along, and my dad's watching, going, not this time. Not that. He was convinced he had more time, and I'm sat opposite him, and Master Alan was sat next to us. And Quanchinem starts walking along, and my dad's looking, going, please just go past, please just go past, please just go past. And Quanchinem started walking, and then Quanchinem stopped, and my dad, he hasn't gone that way. And me and Master Alan were both sat back going, so this is what it looks like. Because when you get that tap, you don't know what you look like, but everyone else is going. So my dad's just going, tap on the shoulder. Thank you, sir. Pushing his food back, so he doesn't have an appetite anymore. Me and Master Alan just going, so that's what it's like.
Yeah, it's funny. The same thing happens in the U.S., but it's Master Midas who does the torture.
Yeah, fair enough.
Walking past, talking to someone else, coming back again, and
yeah, and always at lunchtime just to put you off your food.
Absolutely. So I got an interesting comment from Pam Russell. She says, outside of Tang Soo Do, you have a very interesting hobby. How did you get into Warhammer and painting the armies? So, if someone doesn't know what Warhammer is, maybe just briefly talk about what it is and
okay. I'll be honest, this is not where I thought this interview was going to go, but okay, I'll keep it brief. It's basically a science fiction war game. You get small plastic models, and you get a collection of quite often nerds in a room, and you roll dice for the actions and the combats and stuff like that. I got into it when at secondary school there was a group of us used to do it, get together, smaller scale games, stuff like that, and you run a campaign, tell a story and stuff like that. But it was, for me, it was a bit more than D&D, where you have to use your imagination. No, this guy is my general on the battlefield or whatever else and stuff like that. And I just carried it on. I find the painting very relaxing, and it kicks in a different part of your brain as well. I like to do as many different things as possible. So I do the swimming. I did when the place was open. I used to go swimming out of the martial arts. That works one part of your brain. The painting the little models, and sometimes do historical stuff as well. Again, it works a different part of your brain. I'm trying to keep as much of my brain active as possible. And it's it relaxes me. I can lose myself for hours. My wife, I'll just say, I'm going for a painting session, and she'll leave me alone for 2-3 hours, just working on these little models. So yeah, it's just part of my relaxation, really.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I fly my nerd flag very high. I'm a writing nerd. I have probably 400 or 500 comic books. I have thousands upon thousands of baseball cards.
Mm,
Um, my rock climbing is kind of my getaway, where I can
yeah,
sit rock gym and just kind of decompress and
yeah. Because sometimes I think when you're an
Says,
instructor, oh, so
Tracy
well,
Digby, that's Master Digby, right? Am I correct?
yes, yeah.
He says, "Oh, the model scary creatures," and then your mom said tanks.
Yeah, yeah. I have lots of different. So I try to keep interested in different areas and things like that. Some of it's purely for self-interest and stuff like that. Other things, my mom's mentioning tanks on there. I got interested in that because my granddad served in tanks. He did national service back in the 50s. But he never told me what he was in. He never told me what he crewed. So that's that research and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of family history in that one, and a little bit. But then you find something and you get interested, and that's the thing. I think you keep. And it's a bit like what keeps me coming back to Tang Soo Do, because you'll find a small gem and a small nugget of something. Your interest goes, "Boo! I didn't know about that. Where can this one take me now?" And you're off again. So, yeah.
Here's another one. It's Susan Silk. Is that your wife?
Yep. That's my wife, my long-suffering wife.
He takes such pride in showing me the gory things he's painted.
Well, you've got to,
That's awesome.
She torments me, I torment her. It's a perfect relationship.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, so it's funny. Like you talk about creating. I mentioned rock climbing. I built a rock climbing wall in my basement. So that's my. So you're not alone. We all have our. So you mentioned you work in a school.
Yeah.
So what is your profession outside of Tang Soo Do? What do you teach?
I'm a chemistry. I'm the chemistry technician, so I do the behind the scenes work there. I set up the experiments and the practicals that the kids are going to do and take them to the classes, and then I clean up the mess when it's done. Basically, some are better than others, but a lot of them can just be a nightmare. But no, it can be challenging, and because you're working with kids, you can pretty much guarantee most days are going to be different. Having said that, at the moment, because of COVID restrictions and stuff like that, there's less there's less experiments going on and stuff like that. So I'm doing a bit more of an admin type role at the moment. Hopefully get back to normal and doing some proper science shortly.
What led you to get being interested in chemistry?
Yeah, I just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It sounds that a lot of the things that that I do in life are because I enjoy them. And I don't think you can probably find a better reason for getting involved in doing stuff. I enjoy chemistry. I enjoy doing the experiments and finding out why things behave the way they do. And then I just took that on. I did it at university, and now I say working a support role in a school. So, and hoping that the stuff I put out interests someone else, and they get that bug and they go on. So yeah, it's pure. A lot of the stuff I do is purely because I enjoy it. I'm quite a simple person when it comes down to it.
Well, yeah, you have to be exposed to it first in some way. What are some of the fun experiments you like to share with the kids?
Oh, for
Yeah,
some of the younger ones, you get there's a bit more freedom in the syllabus. What you're allowed to do. There's elephant's toothpaste is a great experiment for the year 7s, and they absolutely love it. It's just basically fast hydrogen peroxide. You put a catalyst in it and some washing up liquid. It traps the oxygen, but it goes everywhere, so it's very messy. The kids absolutely love it. There's one we do for open evenings, which is for the 10-year-olds to come in and have a look around the school, but they can try a little bit of science. We do Rainbow Fizz, it's called, where you try and layer different layers of acid. With with an indicator in, you will get different colors on each layer. That's quite a cool one. And it's, again, just teaching them to be slow rather than chucking it all in at once. That's quite a fun one.
I got to imagine that your Tang Soo Do teaching skills help you in that aspect. Like you said, like telling kids to slow down. I'm sure I can always, in my head, I can see like telling kids to slow down in their forms. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The problem, I think the one problem I have with when trying to get the kids to slow down or trying to get the kids to do various bits and pieces is I don't really have my finger on the pulse of popular culture. So my references in the dojang, I get a lot of blank looks. So I've stopped trying to do stuff like that now. I tried to make someone. What was it? Star Trek had been big in the pictures at the times. So what does Captain Kirk do when he first meets the Klingons? Well, the kids haven't watched that, have they? They've watched the new movies and the Klingons weren't in them at all. So they have no idea what I'm talking about. And, shields up, get that guard up, get your shields up. Nah, we're into Star Wars. We don't do that. It says they have deflectors. They don't have shields. Good enough. So,
yeah, most of my jokes are for the parents for the most part.
Yeah. You get the pity laughs, and you didn't just tell a dad joke, did you? And stuff like that. That happens a lot. So,
but it definitely helps. Although I'm sure in the school, no one, if you yell "Chariot," no one. It's like,
yeah,
what? It doesn't work as well outside.
No. It's strange, some of the ideas that the kids get about working in the school. You do get an idea of what people think, and also what some people are willing to believe. That is quite strange. There was a teacher I used to work with. He was a great guy, but he was a practical joker. And he told his class that I did martial arts, and they didn't believe him. So now there's a picture of me with my instructor. I do martial arts. And I went, oh, okay then. And they didn't question anything, so they went out. It took him 2 weeks to have them convinced that the master's test that I'd taken was to sit in a shack in Japan overnight, where I had to survive periodic attacks by ninjas. The master's test would be a fight to the death. If I survived the night, I was allowed to be a master. They didn't question this. They just accepted that as fact. It's like the fact that he said to the death, that didn't ring any bells or anything like that. Didn't say maybe he's winding you up. No, they just took it because they didn't know martial arts. Oh, well, okay, it must be true. Why? Why must it be? Why would it be true? And then we're not talking about the young kids here either. These are 15, 16, 17-year-olds. She's like, oh dear, no. Have a sit down. Let me tell you about Tang Soo Do.
I was gonna say, maybe they didn't. Did they not mess with you after that? It's like, wow, man, he's alive.
You get two. You get, unfortunately, in a school, you get two groups.
Sure.
You get one group that says, actually, that's really cool. And then you tell them that you tell them about what you do. Actually, no, that is actually pretty cool. And then you will, of course, always get the other side, which is, you do karate. Let's see how hard you are.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm behind a door. I don't care. So it's a shame that you do end up getting that. But it can't be helped. You just got to, for a better phrase, you just got to roll with the punches. And then when people come up with strange ideas, I just have a talk with them. And what they actually tend to find is that actually the truth of the stuff that you do and what it takes is actually far more impressive than any story they've ever been told or anything like that. Like I say, survive one night or spend 20 plus years training in one thing, dedicate yourself completely. And actually, no, that's much tougher than lasting one night,
Right.
And I think, that's the story I try my best to get out.
Yeah, absolutely. The dedication is, that's impressive. And what makes you grow as a a person.
Absolutely.
Master Silk, you told me that you would try to get through an hour of talking, and we easily did that. We're at the hour mark, so I appreciate you joining me. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap up?
There's just one thing I'd like to say, and it's just to all of our members out there. It's something I've said at the European clinics a couple of times when we do sort of closing comments there. I think we need to recognize and realize and remember and keep at the forefront of our mind that the association that we have is special. It's built on by Quan Shin, his legacy carried on by Grandmaster Baldwin, now carried on by Grandmaster Strong. We've got a responsibility to that, and we're built because we are so together, despite us all being so different at the same time. It seems to me, in my experience, to be unique. If we take it for granted, I think we run the risk of losing it because you take your eye off the ball. So we all need to remember just how special our association is, how wonderful it is, what made it that, and keep pushing the values that we've pushed so far, and not take our eye off the ball, because that's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to reach more people, by being the special association we are and not taking our eye off the ball. And don't take us for granted, because that's what, if we lose it, we'll struggle to get it back. Mm-hmm. So we need to keep what makes us special, keep it at the forefront, and do not take ourselves for granted, because there's a great phrase, I think it was glory is fleeting, but mediocrity is eternal. If we keep our goals right, the glory will stay, and we can continue to grow and be exactly what we are, which is a fantastic association. We need to keep that togetherness and keep that in our minds and not forget that.
When you were talking, it made me think of not forgetting people, and we talked offline about Master Bernarte, and I know it was just recently a year where he passed. Talk about him, and talk about, I know that it's a tough subject, but he seemed to be a very integral part of your group. And
he was a great man. He was a force. He would the biggest smile I've ever seen. Such a happy person. He was a great man. We gave our fourth Dan, our fifth Dan together. And it's going to be, when we do get back together, it's going to be very strange. He was only a couple of places down the line from me. But he was another one. Needs some advice, needs some help. First one there every time. He didn't belittle people. He always spoke highly, trying to lift you up. He was a great man. He was a great role model, and he could tell a story. I tell you that, he could tell a story. He would have given you a brilliant interview. He really would have. So many of his experiences, places he'd been, people he'd met, worked with. I
appreciate you sharing. I know it's
sorry,
trust me, I appreciate you talking about him, and I know he was an important part of your group.
A great man, and a big loss. A big loss to us all.
Like I said, I know Master Khan dedicated his class last week to him, and I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned him today, because he seemed like a great man. Like you said, I'd love to have gotten the chance to talk to him.
One of the best.
So, sorry I wasn't trying to.
No, it's okay, Sam. And to be honest, it's one of these things. We're going to remember people who've passed, and when they mean a lot to you, it doesn't matter when you're going to talk about it. It's gonna sting, but you have to keep the memory going. There's a phrase Master Khan's used before, and I think it's important. I can't remember who he said it, but people die twice. Once when they die, and second time when you forget them. And he's one man. He never should be forgotten. He's touched a lot of lives in a positive way, and we do need to keep talking about him. So
awesome. Well, hey, again, Master Silk, I really appreciate you taking the time out to talk with me. And one of these
thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was great. I had a great time talking. Thank you everyone for joining us. Join us on a Sunday. It was a great time. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully sooner than later we'll get a chance to meet in person. And
I hope so, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Tang Soo, sir.
Thanks, Sue.